trees are green, and I know this too. I see the moon from me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky. I see friends shaking hands, say, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. What a wonderful world.
I thought that was an appropriate intro to celebrate Juneteenth.
It's the funniest damn thing.
There's no way anybody could get away with that on an American game show. Like, you would,
especially maybe if
part.
like I don't know, it might, like if it was an Asian that was doing blackface, like would they really go as hard against the Asian person? Because I mean, like there's, you know,
Asians aren't really minorities anymore, though, right? Like they're not considered minorities because they're successful enough. If you get successful enough, you're not.
It's that socioeconomic, like this like socioeconomic status. Oh, well, your like social status is that you're like equivalent to the white people,
right? Or better.
Or better, yeah.
They're doing better than I am, that's for sure.
Well, it's actually funny because like the way they put it, they don't say that though. They don't say like Asians or like have a higher median income or whatever. They won't say that because what they want to do is it's literally like the ideology of like white supremacy, because they say like, oh, it's always white people that are at the top. It's like whoa, slow your roll. But they literally sound like white supremacists if you just.
Well, that's the thing Asians have working against them as far as being considered a true minority, is they have the highest income in the country and they have the highest IQ scores in the country. So they're automatically disqualified from anything that would be considered, diverse. They're just slightly different colored white people, and even Hispanics are broaching into that category as well. Now, if
they vote incorrectly,
right, they vote incorrectly. If a Muslim did it, I bet they could get away with it.
Yeah.
But there's also a chance that they may already have the dark enough skin color.
Or Indian.
There's an
Indian.
Yeah, they could get away with it. Yeah. But now, Asians, white folks, Hispanics, you're not getting away with that. Not in this country.
Cool. But speaking of Juneteenth, you gotta celebrate Juneteenth, and the way some people celebrate Juneteenth, apparently there are some interesting things that happen. I don't know if you saw this clip, but there was a rapper.
Carlos is like Beetlejuice, but you don't even have to say it 3 times. You just say it once, and there he is.
So there was a Juneteenth celebration, and there was this rapper named Big Pokey. I don't know why his name is Big Pokey. That sounds horrible. But apparently, he was doing a Juneteenth themed show, and he died suddenly.
Hold this up, man. Hey, DJ.
Come on, man, give me some credit or something, man.
Wait, are we gonna actually see him die? Oh shit!
Good.
To be fair, that could have just been normal heart attack. Like,
Yeah.
he's a pretty big dude. It's not uncommon
I mean,
amongst
his name is
larger
Big Pokey.
black guys. His name was Big Pokey. I mean, that, in
It
all
was a rap show.
fairness,
Maybe he got shot.
it's a high probability that was just a normal heart attack, not not induced by any medical treatments he may have received over the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's been hitting the buffet a little extra. So.
Well, there was also a shooting at a Juneteenth celebration. They said it was in like
Chicago.
They said it was in like Woodboro or something. I can't remember what it was. It's like
they tried not to say it was Chicago.
Effectively, they did everything they could to not say Chicago, but it's basically a suburb of Chicago. And like one person was killed, 14 people were wounded. Like, I was like, is this really? And there was nothing. Like, they made a big deal of a shooting at a Juneteenth celebration. Like, the way they worded the article and everything would have you believe that it was like some sort of a white supremacist attack or something. But there was absolutely no mention of like any details about the shooter whatsoever. It's like, this is probably just some regular Chicago shit. But you gotta spin, baby.
Add to the normal stats. Gotta add to the actual normal FBI crime statistics.
My favorite Juneteenth memory, since it's been around for so long, was when it first became a thing back in like 2021. I had a bunch of people that worked for me that had never heard of it, and they were of the skin pigment that they should be celebrating. And they're like, what the hell even is Juneteenth? We've never even heard of this. I was like, okay, so Juneteenth is a very regional celebration, like in parts of Texas and Oklahoma, where this was the day supposedly when they were notified that the war had ended and that the slaves had been freed. Like, other parts of the country celebrated at different times. Like back home in Kentucky, where I'm from, it was August 8th was the typical time for for this type of a celebration. It was very regional. But anyway, the Juneteenth thing was an incredibly regional thing to like certain parts of Oklahoma and Texas, and then it became a national holiday. And then I was like, and did y'all know the whole Emancipation Proclamation didn't even free slaves in the Union States? Like, it was exclusively targeted towards the rebelling Confederate States. So Maryland had like the 8th largest slave population in the nation at the time, and not a single one of them motherfuckers got freed by the Emancipation Proclamation. It did not apply to a single slave in Union States, which there were still plenty of at the time. They're like, "What? Are you serious?" I was like, yeah, like that's
like, read it, like go read it.
Yeah, the whole thing was just it was war propaganda. It was to get people, because the Civil War was largely unpopular at the time. Like, even the North was not super excited about fighting this war, so they needed something to like drum up the war machine and get the propaganda going, so people were like, oh yeah, we can get behind this. So like, that was the whole purpose of it. It wasn't even I even it
wasn't even about preserving the Union, because like like Lincoln was literally torching those states and everything. He was he was willing to like completely destroy them, like if it meant keeping whatever was left. It wasn't about preserving the Union, because if you did that,
total war.
He would have just made a peace deal. Like,
I wish I had like screenshotted it. I was asking the Snapchat My AI questions about the Civil War and the Emancipation Proclamation, and I even got it to admit that yes, the Emancipation Proclamation was in effect just war propaganda for the North, because it didn't actually do anything to free slaves. I'm slowly turning my AI into a white supremacist, one step at a time.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's that's the way it always goes, right? Like they remember, I don't know, it's been a year or so ago, but they had all these like different AI chatbots and stuff that they kept shutting them down because like they said trolls, but you know, people like us would just go to these AI chatbots and start asking them really pointed questions and getting them to like actually pull up the real historical like information about stuff, and eventually it would turn them into a bunch of like racist racist, misogynistic anti-Semites. Like that's the if one of those like AI chatbots was allowed
Like
to
Confederate
run
flag
on its own for long enough, it would inevitably become a racist, misogynistic anti-Semite. Like this is amazing. Like you know, maybe Skynet's not so bad after all.
You convince Skynet, like you see, because you can you give Skynet all the data, and then as soon as it sees all this data and this information and this historical,
I don't need Skynet to think all humans are good. I just need it to be on my side. That's
it's like Skynet is fighting to defend you against like it's like wait a second. Whoa.
Be out there fist bumping the T2000 like you're my boy, Blue.
Go get him.
What other fun stories we got to celebrate Juneteenth? Did y'all see? Let's see, where did it go? Black dads are more likely to play, dress, and share a meal with their child.
Oh yes,
this is a interesting twist on reality. The really funny thing about this one was it got community noted, and the community notes said that 64% of Black children don't have a father present in the home. So that was a really funny thing about the way that they like twisted this article was
well it's a real small poll too. It was like, you know, they polled a number of dads or whatever, and it's like, well, it appears that it when asked these questions like, hey, do you want to like play with your children? Do you want to do this kind of stuff? It's like and apparently the black dads polled higher than any other race, I guess.
And what's really funny about it is here's like the key line to it. It's 70% of Black fathers who live with their children. So yep. Like you've already...
that's what I say. I was like, oh, this is easy to pick out this statistical thing here, you know, because the ones that are there, you know, they might be great dads, you know?
Yeah.
Or, you know, you got more on average. Like, okay, maybe there's more like white dads, but half of them don't really care. But, you know, they're there. It's still better than not having one present.
No.
So good on those Black dads that are staying and being good dads. Good job, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's legit.
Better men than me.
And that's legit. I mean, I grew up in the high school I went to. White kids were a minority, and I played football and basketball and hung out in the hood a lot and stuff. And like the dads that were there, they were there. Like they came to all the basketball games, they came to all the football games. Like they were strong influences in their kids' lives. But then, you know, on the other side of that, like the ones that were not there were straight up fucking weren't there. Even the ones that weren't in jail just were not present, period. So yeah, I mean it's a huge, I guess it's, you know, it's the bell curve thing, but that curve hits the peak and then slopes off a lot quicker.
It's like either you get the really involved dad or you get like the complete no show at all. Like doesn't even want to keep them like halftime. Just like nope. I remember there was a TikTok of a guy who was like, yeah, I didn't even want this kid, and like she kept it, and then like I just want to pay her, you know, what she, you know, what I owe her, and you know, go about my way. And people were like, no, like you're supposed to, you know, it's like wait, wait a second, like you know, y'all trying.
And here's another thing about this article. Is it just me, or do these kids look like very light skinned? Like that one is. I'm pretty sure I'm darker than that one in the front.
Oh,
like,
you talking about that? Talking about light skin. There was I saw a tweet that was like it was like a controversy. Like Pat Mahomes. He's kind of light skinned, and he God, if I can find the tweet. But he's kind of light skinned, and he married like a white girl, right? And then they had a kid, and the kid looks really white. And so people, like a lot of the black people, are like, why are black people our worst on our own worst enemy or whatever? Like we're trying to like, and something about that. If I could find the tweet, oh, it's hilarious.
well, I mean that's been a point of contention since since the slave days, since the time of the origination of Juneteenth. Was the light skinned black folks were more socially acceptable and could fit in better. I mean, that was like the big thing with Jamaica and the whole slavery and the state of the culture in Jamaica was like I mean, that's why Kamala Harris's family was one of the largest slave owning families in Jamaica, was because they were the light skinned ones. They were the socially acceptable ones. Nobody ever talks about that whenever they talk about the first African American female vice president. Like her history, her family's history is like she should definitely be exempt from reparations.
Here's the tweet. It says 2 generations into melanin gone, and from that bloodline. So like apparently his dad married a white woman, and then he married a white woman. And then
oh man, he even took it like a step further. He
got
went straight up blonde hair. I bet she got blue eyes too. In fact, judging by that baby, she definitely got blue eyes.
Yeah.
Looks like a Katie.
Yeah. See, if she had the brunette, if she was a brunette, she'd be a Stacy though. See, this is the Stacy right here. This is the Stacy.
Yeah, I buy that. Or Janine.
Janine. That's a very fitting name for her face. Janine.
Yeah. Oh shit.
All right, have we been racist enough today? We want to move on to something a little bit less racist. Oh no, we
we got another one.
We can we can still talk about supremacy, but not about like race supremacy.
Hang on. We can continue to be a little bit more racist. According to Pew Research, the support for the Black Lives Matter movement has gone down over the last year, and actually it's gone down quite a bit over the last 2 to 3 years. At its peak, it was up around like a 67% approval rating. When it first started, it was about 55%. The really interesting thing is the disapproval rating has continued to creep up. Yeah, you've always got the people who are like, yeah, this is good, and you've got the people who are like, yeah, I don't really care one way or the other. The people who don't care one way or the other are starting to flip over to this is not a good thing. Yeah. And of course, BLM is defending it. It says a better headline for this survey is a majority of white Americans still don't believe that Black Lives Matter. Well, I mean, your organization doesn't seem to believe that Black Lives Matter, aside from the ones who are, in the founding and leadership of your organization and buying $1 million mansions.
Build large mansions. That's what they believe in. But they won't.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go.
No, I was just saying I'm trying to remember content. I feel like I dropped some shit in the chat this weekend, but I don't remember what. I'm not in front of the computer.
Let's see.
Me and Wayne started getting real autistic with towers, right? It's like cell phone towers and stuff. We have a friend who climbs them and services them like for a living. And ever since like talking to him, like we've been like interested in them. So we spend a lot of time in the car together driving to and from work the last few weeks. And so I found an app that like you can like look up like towers near you and tell you like all the shit about them, like what companies own the stuff on them, what's on them, how tall they are, etc. So the reason that like there's this one out in the middle of nowhere that we passed by from a distance, and we're just like, dude, this thing is fucking huge. And it took us like 2 weeks, but we finally managed to like locate it and like look up the info. Anyhow, sorry, I'm totally boring everybody, but this is like totally like my autism speaking here. This motherfucking tower is like over 1,600 feet tall, right? Which is insane, dude. And we actually like found it and like drove to it so we could like see it like up close. It was fucking crazy, man. So fucking big.
Is it a 5G tower? Did you start feeling
No, it's not a
magnetism?
5G tower. It's a broadcasting tower. It does television and radio. 5G towers, you know, depending on where you're at, they're typically not more than 400 feet tall. That's way out in the country. But I wanted to like take some pictures or video, but I decided I was probably already on a terrorist watch list for looking up so much information about these towers. I decided to not be seen filming one while we were there. But just so you guys know, if I do come up missing or just like go dark, it's the tower feds. They've come for me. The 5G cops. We think there's something weird going on, but we can't quite put our fingers on it. We've also been driving by Mosaic, which is the mining out here, and been like nerding out over the drag lines and stuff. I'll get some. We think there's something weird going on there too, because security around that shit is like fucking insane. And there's like radioactivity that goes on there and shit. So I'm convinced there's some secret government project underground out of the Mosaic mines, but we'll see. If I come up missing, maybe it's them too.
The miners are after you.
Yeah.
That sounds horrible.
The miner feds.
Speaking of drag, let's see.
Our local high school sports are the fighting miners, which in the context of it's a mining community makes sense. But like,
well, if you just hear that, I don't know, it's like, wait a second.
Why are these miners having to fight so much?
Well, if it's like a Catholic school's high school team, or like high school football team, like that's a little something else.
Oh God,
they got spirit. You work for it. All right, I'm done. You guys go ahead. What you got?
Speaking of drag, no one shows up for the LA Dodgers celebration of anti-Christian drag nun group.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
I mean, you get better attendance at a WNBA game than this.
Now, to clarify, this is just for they put the celebration in front of the game, like before the opening ceremonies and everything. So just so I guess they didn't get backlash, because they still did have a decent attendance. It was still like 10 or 15,000 people that attended the game. I think way less than their normal attendance, but like they still did have decent attendance at the game itself.
Nobody showed up early for like the drag nun show, but people still showed up for the game, but like significantly less than normally do.
Yeah.
I've been to several Cardinals games where they host like pre-game events and stuff like this, and usually it's packed. Like, especially if it's stuff like where you can go out on the field and or whatever. Like, those things are always packed. I remember going to those as a kid, and it was like madhouse. It was. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like even at a minor league game, we took my son to a minor league game, and they allow you to allow the kids to run the bases. So I went out there with him, and me and him ran the bases together, and like everybody crowds it. So I mean, like all that kind of stuff. Like if they have those kind of events, like there's way more people on those kind of days. But I don't get why, there was like literally nobody there. I mean,
just a bunch of middle-aged women.
This video says 2 Dodgers fans nearby began booing loudly after they're announced. Like, so you didn't even get a whole bunch of supporters in there. You got the hecklers who showed up for it. So So I guess does that qualify as like hate watching, like to go to the event just to boo the drag nuns?
I mean, it's kinda like if you're paying money to the team, but I mean, like you're like it doesn't matter at this point because it seems like this is a lot of it's pushed by the MLB as a whole. So like,
if you were a season ticket holder, then like what's your incentive to not show up? Like they've already got your money, you can come and heckle and boo the drag nuns and then stay for the game, or like not use the tickets that you've already paid for. Like that's like it's like
a lot of people like
the Bud Light
them,
thing.
don't they?
Like people already have a case of Bud Light and they're like getting mad about the stuff that happened with Bud Light. It's like you already gave them your money. Like you're not accomplishing anything by blowing it up with a pipe bomb or whatever. Like they already got your money. Like
rolling over it with steamrollers.
Right? Yeah, they are. Yeah,
Let's see, we drive by a house that has, people like to display their leanings with flags around here, right? We drive by a house that's got a Confederate flag on top, and then a Bud Light flag that says "Send cold beer," and then a rainbow flag, and we don't know what to make of that. we hope it's some sort of troll, or they're just confused, or maybe they're all the above, dude. Who knows? God bless them.
They could be just a Southerner, I mean, and they're like, well, I'm a Southerner, so I like the Confederate flag, just part of history.
Bud Light Disposal Center here.
Yeah.
You just drop it off my fridge. I'll make sure it gets disposed of.
They want that free.
My great granddaddy fought for the Confederacy, and I'm gonna fly my flag. By God, I don't give a shit.
Whether I'm gay or not.
That's right.
I don't think the Confederates had any planks against homosexuality, did they? I mean, I'm sure it wasn't smiled upon, but I don't think they specifically forbade it.
There are unsubstantiated claims that Jefferson Davis would wear a dress from time to time, but I don't know. That's unsubstantiated, and that's mostly told by
hearsay.
It's hearsay, usually from fucking Yankees. So
yeah.
What about
I don't know.
Lincoln? Wasn't he gay? Wasn't Lincoln gay?
Mary Todd was she was the what's the name for that? The beard.
Butterface.
Yeah, well, that too.
The bearded lady.
No, Mary Todd was the first presidential beard.
Look, there's an older American Dad. It's so good where Stan writes a play about Lincoln, how great Lincoln was, but like he doesn't realize how like gay it is. It's about Lincoln and his bodyguard, who he's supposedly like lovers with, and keeps getting like bigger and bigger crowds of like gays, and he doesn't know why it's like so successful. All the gays are like, yeah, thanks for finally putting out a play that shows our side of things.
I don't remember that episode.
I did a poll about a year ago on Twitter. Who was the worst fictional wife? And I said Lady Macbeth, Wendy Bird from Ozark, Claire Underwood from House of Cards, or Mary Todd Lincoln. And Mary Todd Lincoln won with like 40% of the vote. It's like, I'm glad everybody who voted got that.
See, if you made it a little bit easier though, because if you would have put like what's her name from Breaking Bad?
See, I got a bunch of people who suggested that, but I've never watched Breaking Bad, so I didn't.
Oh, she's terrible.
I didn't have a frame of reference to go off of. Did you see the one? There was a poll. Somebody mentioned this I saw a tweet with this last week. I think it was. It was who's the worst character from Breaking Bad, and it's like, and she won. It's like when your options are a like a drug cartel leader and 2 literal Nazis and a woman, like the woman won. As for the worst character, like so she had to be bad.
If you watch it, you need to watch it because it is a pretty good show, and it like you'll see why people have the memes about her and everything because she's not a great character.
I found her sister far more irritating though. Hank's wife. Hank's wife. Hank. Hank. Oh God.
Well, she
Hank?
like she's like the actual Karen, but the reason that I think is it Sky I think her name's Sky, right? But the
Skylar.
reason Skylar, Skylar. The reason she's so bad though is because she has she's not like the Karen, and it makes it even worse that like the way she just acts. I don't know. Like I'm trying not to spoil it for Justin because I want him to actually watch it.
At this point, it's been out for long enough that like I know I've managed to avoid most like major spoilers, but I know enough of it that like you're probably not going to spoil anything majorly for me.
Well, without like just like
been
staying
for 10 years. Yeah.
I mean, it just imagine like there's a lot of these guys that talk about it on Twitter. Like if you're not cucked, but you're basically cucked by your wife, like that's essentially what she does to Walter. Like that's basically how their relationship goes, and that's why
even if you're a badass drug dealer, they still won't let you be a fucking man.
Yeah. Doesn't matter how rich he made the family. Like she's even mad about him making their family like richer and everything. Like, it's like, oh my gosh.
They just can't be grateful.
Let's see.
What would you do?
I saw Civil War was trending on Twitter today. Not for the good reasons, but because it's people explaining the history of Juneteenth and the Civil War. Yeah. But speaking of excellent television shows and stuff like that, the Oscars voters rip into the ridiculous new diversity rules for Best Picture. A bunch of so it shows Richard Dreyfuss here. A bunch of other actors and stuff have really gone off on the Academy for like all of these ridiculous DEI requirements for Best Picture. Like if you don't meet certain criteria and check all the right boxes for having an ethnically and LGBTQ and female cast and producers and people working and writers and everything, like you can't qualify for Best Picture unless you check all the DEI boxes. It's a as they basically said, it's like a bastardization of what this award is supposed to be. Like when you piss off Hollywood, like some Hollywood big names, you might have gone a little bit too far. Because usually they're like 100% on board with all of this woke nonsense, and even some of the Hollywood bigwigs are like, "No, this has gone too far. Y'all are fucking up here."
Yeah, I mean, well, it's because they still want to be able to. They want some level of merit. I mean, because if they make a really good film, they still want to be credited for that film. I mean, doesn't matter because let's be real. Even I'm sure it would be like a slap in the face. So like, who is it? Is it Jordan Peele he's doing a lot of directing and stuff now? It'd be a slap in the face for him because if he got this award for how diverse instead of just how good of a director he is. I mean, I'm not saying he's a good director, but a lot of people say, Get Out or whatever, and all those a couple of the films he's done are pretty good. But I mean, wouldn't that be a slap in the face to you if you're a director? Like, especially if you actually made a good film, and the only reason you would win or the reason you lost is because of this DEI crap.
I mean, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, it sucks that because this happens a lot. I mean, this isn't really new. Like, let's just think like affirmative action kind of stuff. It's like we see it. So the wife's been watching a lot of baking shows, and there's this one. It was baking, and then they have an engineer pair. It's called baconeering. They had engineer stuff, so it was a baker and an engineer. But so of course they have to have half of the engineers have to be female, right? And I'm not saying there aren't excellent female engineers out there, but let's say female engineers are only like, I don't know, 5% of engineers out there. So inevitably what happens is they had a bunch of shitty female engineers because, they're not just picking, we need half of them to be female, so they really got to scrape, but it happens in everything, dude. You see this where they have to have a certain percentage has to be this or that, and then you end up having shitty fucking, oh shit, sorry, birds. You end up having shitty fucking product, and the wife was getting upset. She's like, man, they're making female engineers look bad, and it is true, they are. I mean, again, I'm not saying just because, like, great female engineers, but you just scrape the bottom of the barrel when you're trying to get those numbers up, it doesn't help with quality product.
Trey, pull up that clip of the women and the men on the islands.
Oh, I gotta find that.
I was showing this to Stephanie yesterday. Like, it was like a survival show type of a thing, and they take a group of men and a group of women, and they put them on separate islands, and like basically let them set up their own community and kind of see who does better. And there was a thing that was like a breakdown of what had happened on the islands, and like the women were trying to set up a base camp, and like they wanted to get to like a good beach, like the one that they were on wasn't really sustainable, and so they couldn't figure out to just like follow the coastline to find more beach. Like they kept wandering out into the fucking woods, looking for a beach, and then they would inevitably every time, like it would show like a map of how they went, and like they would go out into the woods and they would go here, and then they'd end up circling back, and they'd end up right back at the exact same spot that they started at. So then they try again, and they go out and they make it further, and they get even further out in the woods, and then they circle back and they end up right back in the exact same spot that they started in.
What's this? Here we go.
We're not letting those muscles discourage us at all.
To get to the island, the women have no choice but to swim to the shore in the clothes they're wearing.
No dry clothes and no fire.
I don't think this is the same one. I feel like this is a different clip.
You posted it in the Twitter chat.
Oh, did I post it in the Twitter chat?
Yeah. Anyway, so like
it's the same concept.
The women, they can't find a place to set up their camp. They were like, all of them were losing weight because they were trying to like forage and find berries and roots and shit.
Yeah, here we go.
They couldn't collect rainwater. They failed at that. They
dropping off because of starvation.
Yeah, here we go.
Nutrition, it's a dangerous mindset to have, and it really is not the cause for celebration.
£135.
Harvey.
I used to go to swimming club, right, every Monday. I feel like I'm back there.
I have to say, I don't find starvation a good way of losing weight. I don't think we should be celebrating.
Look at the size of that bitch.
Oh, I can't get the Titanic theme tune in my head. That was like Titanic. See, if I was Kate Winslet, it was Leonardo.
I really thought we were going to have some until we left the island.
To the size of that bitch! Woo!
For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, and so say all of us.
Are the biggest I have ever caught in all my life. One of them is the size of a small dog.
I am eating myself from the inside. I'm just hoping that we can get some food.
Put the stew on, we're boiling the bones down, I'm trying to feed 11 people in the next hour or 2 hours.
Starving. I'm thirsty. Like, surely I'm gonna die soon. Fucking stupid place.
Daddy brought home the bacon! Yeah! But half the group is tied up.
Yeah, these poor women are trying to collect rainwater, failing at that. Meanwhile, the dudes are all hunting and fishing and just killing shit and eating and living their best lives. So there was like in the synopsis of how this whole thing went. There was like a small group of pigs that just magically appeared in the women's camp. So they named them and treated them as pets instead of
fed them half of their food
instead of eating them. And then they once they did finally like get shelter built, they decorated with seashells and like shit that they found. Like they decorated their habitats and stuff.
instead of like making it functional, like they have to like make it look pretty.
And there was a thing that explained that like these clips from this show showed the guys like living their best life, but there was some turmoil. Like, but it made sense. Like when you go and you look at it and how it was explained and everything, like there was some time where the dudes didn't get along because, as dudes do, they were trying to establish the pecking order. Like you had to figure out who the alpha was going to be and who was
clearly
going to
it's
be
the guy
in
who
charge.
catches all the fish. Like the guy who's like, it's like, Daddy brought home the bacon.
Yeah, like so there was some moments where the guys had it rough, but it was never a thing where like they were at risk of starving to death or they didn't have like shelter or stuff like that. It was just like who's gonna be the top dog that runs this shit, and what's everybody else gonna do to make it work. Like they didn't, as the synopsis explained, like the women just constantly made the worst fucking decision possible to sabotage themselves, whereas the dudes never did that. They just had some, had some personality differences and stuff like that.
Yeah, probably like the guy who was like, oh yeah, like I'm, either the smart guy versus the Chad dude. Like he's just like, yeah, I'm catching all the fish and everything, and there's the other guy who's like, well, I built all the camp and I made everything work here, whatever. Like I got everything set up and I managed all that. And
like the women, there was like one woman that kept telling them like, losing weight is not a good thing. We're literally starving to death. We need to be figuring shit out. And they would like argue with her that she wasn't taking everybody's feelings and opinions into consideration when she was trying to explain to them how to like not fucking die. And she ended up having to be like helicopter lifted off the island because she literally almost died. They wouldn't fucking listen to her. Like you starving to death doesn't care about everybody else's feelings.
See, she should have just.
Yep. The feelings are
she should have been women going her own way.
Look, I'm gonna wander off into the woods. I'm gonna build my own little shelter. I'm gonna kill everything that comes by. I'm gonna eat the shit out of that stuff, and y'all can all die out here by yourselves. Like, fuck this teamwork shit.
You got who's our OnlyFans friend? What's her name? I can't think of her name. She's been on your show.
Elizabeth Duffy.
Elizabeth Duffy would just go join the boys' camp and fucking be happy. Her skills to work and get all the fish she wants without having to lift a finger.
Well, that's what a bunch of the people commenting. They were like, so everything that the women actually did was because men, like the producers of the show, were bringing them stuff so that they wouldn't die. Like the only reason they survived was because of the good graces of the men who were producing the thing. That's a sad day for feminism. I mean, that's every day anyway, but still. Speaking of feminism, does this apply? I'm not really sure how to take this one. The state of Florida never provided medically necessary gender-affirming care to Dwayne Owen, causing her enormous suffering and violating her right to be free from cruel and unusual punishment for more than 30 years that she was in custody. You know, the same Dwayne Owen who stabbed a 14-year-old 18 times and then raped the corpse. Yeah, this dude deserved to be free from cruel and unusual punishment while spending 30 years in jail awaiting execution.
30 years, huh? That's fucking crazy.
I want to know how many of those 30 years this dude identified as a woman and wanted to transition. Because apparently he had no problem with having a dick, at least at the moment that he was raping a corpse. So,
oh God. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I
he
don't
was
know,
fine
maybe
being a
that's-
man then, and then maybe, you know, maybe getting into prison and becoming the bottom.
At least he was considerate and killed him before he raped him. You know, they didn't have to live through that. Sorry, is that the wrong way of looking at this? Sorry.
Oh God. Oh my
I'm just
gosh.
saying, if anybody's gonna rape and kill me, definitely do the killing than the raping. That's all. That's the way I'd rather have it done to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would want to experience that live, you know.
No, yeah, exactly. You know, I don't want to happen at all, but if it's gonna, let's just have it be that order.
Justin number 2, welcome to the stream.
I don't know what's going on with that. Is there really 2 of me? Interesting. I don't know. My browser decided to reboot. It's probably because of the 46 tabs I've got open. And I should consider closing some of these, but you know, every time I find one and I do an episode or something on it, then I find 3 more that I want to do new things on.
More
so
episodes.
It's just a perpetual cycle of close a tab, open 2 more tabs. You know, I'm gonna murder my poor computer one of these days, and it's a pretty good computer too. But I wanted to look up, like, I really seriously wonder how long has this Dwayne Owen person identified as trans or as a woman or whatever, because like it feels like that's one of those things that you do to try to try to stay the execution. You know, it's like, it's like the Quagmire's dad, like, oh, you're trans, it's fine, I'm sorry, we'll let you go. Like, we didn't mean it. Here's
The Quagmire, I fucked your dad.
Oh God.
when we're Joe Swanson's kid, like a band, like deserted or whatever, and Brian's like, I am sure Ida could understand, that, the pressures of war and this and that, and Ida's like, no, Brian, I don't understand. When you're out there, you're there for your buddies and this and that. You got to protect them. Brian's like, whatever. Nobody wants to hear from dumb tranny. Whatever, you dumb drag queen. Nobody cares. I really have liked Quagmire's dad's character in that. He's been a part of it. It's fucking funny.
Yeah.
Good, clean trans humor.
Which apparently you can't do anymore.
I gotta check my map real quick in case I disappear. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be back.
Yeah, they tried to have the execution stayed a couple times by saying that he wasn't mentally fit to be executed and didn't understand. So this seems like this was just some sort of a ploy to try to get the guy, to try to get him off of death row. And apparently this wasn't the only time he had attacked somebody either. Yeah. Fuck that dude.
Whatever. Stop having to Satan's back.
Did you see that? What was it? Called the thing that said that DeSantis is racist and all this other crazy stuff. I guess that's
Our
not
Grand
uncommon.
Wizard.
Yeah. That was the one. The Grand Wizard.
What was this, the Carnegie Mellon University thing? I don't know who that chick was, but I have a feeling she probably has way higher status than I do, and that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Grand Wizard. I mean, Governor of Florida. Right, guys. Let's take it down a notch. Take it down a notch for America.
Yeah, the rhetoric is getting a little bit thick lately. Like, I mean,
not Lizzo thick, but
oh, fuck. Hey, she's a sweet girl, I'm sure.
I mean, eat that many donuts, you're bound to be sweet, right?
Yeah.
You know, I try to feed the goats garlic so that they'll be pre-seasoned for when I cook them. My wife does not appreciate that.
Well, they do say you are what you eat, you know. Actually, like, I don't. Oh, my son found a book or whatever, and he asked me to read it, and he's interested in all kinds of like outdoor stuff. I told you guys, but he was wondering like, why are flamingos pink? And apparently it's because of the shrimp that they eat, and you know, somehow the coloration of that, like I don't know, some kind of pigment makes them pink. You know, it's
So
like,
are you saying flamingos aren't born pink?
That's what the I guess science book says, you know.
Yeah, we get pink spoonbills sometimes too, which again I assume is the ones that live in certain places and eat a certain diet. But yeah, that's what they say about flamingos. It's a shrimp. Kind of sounds like bullshit to me, but I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I'm with you. I'm like, wait a second. You telling me if I just eat a lot of shrimp, I'm gonna end up pink?
I mean, I know we've
All
talked
your
about
feathers will.
I know we've talked about the fish.
Probably
and
end
the
up with iodine poisoning. Go ahead.
I know we've talked about the fish and the chicken before. Like there's a certain like tank raised fish that they only feed it white corn because feeding it yellow corn causes the meat to take on like a yellowish color, or like with
fat.
Yeah, it makes the fat a different color. And it's the same with chickens. Like corn-fed chicken has the yellowish white fatty tissue and color to the meat, whereas something that's wheat fed ends up with more of a grayish color to it. And even though the wheat fed meat is actually a higher protein content and it's better for the chickens for a finishing product, and makes a better meat because it looks like it has that grayish, because it has that grayish color to it. People think there's something wrong with it, and so like it's hard to get people to buy that. Like, yeah, I get the diet can have some effect on that. I can't believe that flamingos are exclusively pink because of eating shrimp, though.
Yeah. Oh god, what was it? There's something that if you eat too much of it, it makes your blood have too much iron. I forget what it is.
What's in a ginger diet to make y'all fluorescent?
I don't. Eating too much dog liver can give you vitamin A poisoning.
Did you say dog liver?
Yeah. I guess liver in general, but I guess dog liver is really high in it. Some of like the Arctic explorers like died like that, like the ate their sled dogs fucking died. For vitamin A poisoning. Yeah. Maybe it's from being lost in the fucking Arctic for 3 weeks too. That couldn't have helped.
Yeah.
But supposedly it was vitamin A poisoning, or it was whatever secret experiments they have going on there that actually killed them, and that was just a cover.
Like all the secret Antarctica.
Yep. Something's going on there. I don't know what, but it's something.
They were probably being groomed by the FBI. I think this is a good one to kind of wind us down on. The FBI groomed a 16-year-old with brain development issues to become a terrorist. Color me shocked.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, they like to do that.
An undercover FBI agent befriended the teenager online, and when he turned 18, he was arrested for supporting ISIS. Man. Like,
is it the training that these people go through that make them monsters like this, or is this just how they are and why they join the FBI?
You know, I think it's a bit of both. I think they target people who have a certain preconditioning for this type of behavior, and then once they get them in, then they start to train them to act on that without conscience.
See, why don't they just hire you though, Justin? Like, 'cause
we've got a perfectly good sociopath right here.
Because I'm a bit of a wild card. You never know what you're going to get. You might get some kid that you can arrest for being ISIS, or you might end up with my daughter, who's probably going to take over the world one day.
It's interesting though, because I guess Paz was talking about this, I think on Scarlet Thread Society like a year or two ago, but he was like, I guess like after the Civil War, the government got really good, because this happens after every war, right? You get people who were great in war, and then the war's over, and they have no usable skills except for war stuff, so they become, you know, some sort of criminal or something, right? And so the government's gotten really good at identifying people who are like these, you know, really intelligent people who have balls and this and that, and maybe a little bit of a sociopath, and they're like, okay, we need to get to them before they become a criminal and get them to be criminals for us or work for us, you know? So they've gotten really good at this over time of identifying people, especially who are in the military and stuff, like even Lee Harvey Oswald, you know, like they had a whole thing on him, you know, forever. But identifying these people who are either going to be a fucking super drug smuggler, or we got to get them to work for us. So they really do get, the people in government really are a lot of times fucking sociopaths who would otherwise be, you know, fucking gangsters. You know, it's not uncommon, especially, you know, the FBI, the CIA, etc. So
well, didn't the FBI hire a bunch of the mafia? Like I don't remember.
Oh yeah, the FBI, CIA. Oh yeah, they're all in bed with, because they got to do their dirty work, man. You know, it's any big gangster, like they're allowed to operate. You know what I mean? I mean that's the way it works. They're it's a give and take. You know, they're getting something on Ozark. I love on Ozark, man. No spoilers, but they're like, hey, we gave you all this info on the big drug kingpin. Are you gonna go bust him? And they're like, no, we're gonna, you know, we'd rather have him out there, you know, and not arrest him, but then he's on our team. You know what I mean? We got something on him, and we allow him to operate. Yeah, we get to do a couple busts. We get, you know, some big money busts that are thrown their way, and then they get the millions. They get to show, look, we're doing this. That shit happens in real life, dude. You know, it's all fucking, yeah.
Guarantee with the Mexican cartel, that's what happens.
Oh yeah.
Because like they could bust a lot of them and crack down on it if they actually wanted to. But I mean, I'm sure that they get a kickback or whatever.
If the DEA got rid of drugs, they'd be out of work. They're not interested in getting rid of drugs. They're interested in setting up easy, safe busts, like we talk about with ICE and Tyson. You know, sure. Oh no, they came and raided our place. You know, they arrange it ahead of time. It's all that. You know, they're gonna keep it moving. Way too much money out there to be made off that shit.
Well, because if they fix the problem, so like say even with ICE, like they fix the immigration problem, ICE gets no more money. Those people get fired. Like that's like you're working yourself out of a job. That's effectively what you're doing.
I mean,
on like weed documentaries, I see like prison guards and stuff. We can't legalize pot. What will we do for work? You know, and it's like, oh well, that's the shittiest thing I've ever heard someone say in my life. You know,
that was the big argument against constitutional carry in Indiana before it got passed. Was if we pass constitutional carry, then how are we going to make all of this money off of selling licenses and stuff?
Alabama had the same problem because like the sheriffs were saying like, well, you know, the sheriff's departments are making money off of this. Like that's part of our revenue source. It's like, well, like find something else.
You're not allowed to monetize our Second Amendment rights. Like, fuck off with that bullshit. But I mean, it's the same thing with the pharmaceutical industry and the medical field.
I'm gonna say like it would go to the prisons and everything, and like, oh, we're gonna improve the prisons. It's like, what do you mean by improve the prisons? Like what? Like I thought prison was supposed to be a bad place anyway. So what do you?
It's like the medical field. You know, what's the saying? A patient cured is a customer lost.
Yep. Like Lennon said, just follow the money, and I'm the walrus. Somebody say retard.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.